Turrican is a game loved by many and a series that started life on the Commodore 64. The first entry into the series was developed mostly by Manfred Trenz back in 1989, but didn't get an actual full release until 1990. Turrican can be described as a cross between Metroid and Psychonix Oscar, that old iron robot platform shooter. While the huge levels and the morph ball function were inspired by Metroid, the overall graphics and design and weapons were inspired by Psychonix Oscar. Unlike many other action games of its time, Turrican did not force the player to complete a linear level. Instead, the player could explore each level and uncover secrets. The game is regarded as one of the great Commodore 64 games, and it should be. The open large worlds and gameplay variety was something not thought possible on the system. It's by no means a perfect game thanks to the many blind jumps and some controls being relegated to the keyboard, but for the time it was a breath of fresh air for C64 gamers. Even if the main title screen theme is ripped off Transformers the Animated Movie from 1986. Yep, that's right. The Turrican title music is a direct copy of Vince DiCola's Escape. Still, a cool tune to rip off. After the C64 debut, Turrican found its way onto the Amiga. Published by Rainbow Arts and developed along with Factor 5, this is the first of many ports that really stepped up the game from the Commodore 64 original. Now we have some fantastic tunes by Chris Holzbeck, all new flash graphics and 2-button controls. Yes, we now have a dedicated button for jump. This makes the platforming so much easier and in line with the arcade platform action games. The game does have one annoying gameplay mechanic though. When you jump, the ascent of the jump will suddenly stop if you change direction. This means the natural instinct to jump away from a platform, then turn to land on one directly above you becomes extremely frustrating until you learn the jumping mechanics. It's quite odd and does take a while to get used to. Still, once you have this down, you'll be jumping all over the place. I'm really digging this Atari ST port, not because of its good graphics or gameplay, but because of the really awesome chiptunes. Something about them just screams classic chiptune music. What did surprise me about this SD port is that it also makes use of 2 fire buttons. Unlike the Amiga port, One isn't for jump though, it's used for the bomb. Interesting choice, I must say. Beats having to reach for that spacebar all the time. Sadly, the ST version doesn't look as nice as the Amiga due to having slightly more basic looks and no animation for the waterfalls. But still, it is a game you should have on your Atari ST. Bloody tough, mind you. Let's start off the console ports, which were all developed by Code Monkeys, with the Mega Drive port. And what a load of crap it is. For a start, the Mega Drive is capable of some amazing audio, but this sounds terrible. Tinny and lacking sound channels. Then comes the gameplay. Oh my god, what on earth were they thinking? The game is next to impossible. Your energy drains twice the speed as it should, meaning you can go from full energy bar to death in less than 2 seconds. It's ridiculous. Gameplay is very much like that of the Amiga and ST, but now you have twice as much crap flying around the screen to deal with, making for one very frustrating game. This isn't surprising really when you take a look at what other crap the Code Monkeys were responsible for. Mega CD disasters such as Surgical Strike, Tomcat Alley and Wirehead. The rubbish Simpsons skateboard game on the PS2, and all of those awful Phoenix Games published titles based upon Dingo Pictures animated films. More crap from the Code Monkeys right here with the PC Engine port, which is a direct port of the Mega Drive version. They haven't even done that right though. The game now looks a little squashed because they didn't bother to redraw any of the sprites and the controls are broken. Get this, at times the jump button will not work if you are pushing a direction at the same time. You actually have to stop pushing a direction in order for the jump button to work. Rubbish! Try to imagine playing the PC Engine version but with graphics you could hardly make out, and that's the Game Boy port for you. This has the exact same broken controls system found in the PC Engine game, And to make matters worse, we can't even see many of the smaller enemies. A truly horrid experience. On the plus side, at least the energy bar now depletes a little slower. We have to keep in mind that the ZX Spectrum wasn't as powerful as the Commodore 64, but surely it could have done better than this. As a game, it isn't that good. The jumps are incredibly floaty, the controls are stiff, and the collision detection is off. As a Turrican port, it's not worth your time. After playing the ZX Spectrum, I was expecting the worst for the Amstrad CPC, since both ports were programmed by the same person, but I needn't have been worried. This is surprisingly good. Not only do we have lush colourful graphics with animated waterfalls, but also gameplay which isn't half bad. Yes, the jumps are still a little floaty and there's no music, but for the CPC it's rather impressive. The NES version isn't exactly a direct port of Turrican, but more of a mix between Turrican 1 and 2. It should also not be confused with a completely different Super Turrican game that is on the Super Nintendo. With that out of the way, I can tell you that this is a much better game than the Mega Drive, PC Engine and Game Boy versions. That's probably because it wasn't coded by the Code Monkeys. This was actually developed by Manfred Trenz, the creator of Turrican. Several changes have been made in comparison to the original games, such as now having 4 difficulty levels, the possibility to run faster by holding the fire button, no time limit, and no checkpoints, so the player has to restart the level at the beginning after dying. Maybe not such a bonus. Let's finish off the Turrican ports with this unofficial and uncompleted Game Gear version by Martin Conrad. This isn't really a port of the original Turrican, more of an original idea. As we can see, it's extremely good looking for a Game Gear and even has some pretty good audio. But it probably plays like crap, you're thinking. Well, no. Actually, it's very good. This game puts a lot of the official releases to shame. And let's take a look at all those versions of Turrican running side by side.